Namaste and welcome to Flow and Restore Yoga. For this practice, you'll want to have 2 blocks, a strap, a bolster or pillow, and a blanket. My name is Michelle, and let's start in any comfortable seat. You might find it comfortable to sit up on one of your props and elevate your pelvis so that you can ground evenly and sit tall, relaxed. So I'd like to continue what we've been working on in the high school and middle school meditation classes that I facilitate. And that is how you hold honest, compassionate, and loving space for yourself, including in those moments when you're not feeling so pleasant. And even more specifically, when you're feeling perhaps emotionally triggered or some kind of difficult emotion. This can range from things like just being annoyed with somebody or yourself, or impatient, or feeling embarrassed, ashamed, guilty, sad, anger. So I can go on and on. So pick one. What's one that you may have recently encountered within you? And how have you met that emotion? How have you given yourself a moment to hold space for it? In our busy day-to-day lives, we might distract ourselves and say, I don't have time to deal with this. Let me just go do my to-do list. Or intentionally distract ourselves and social media. Let me distract my mind from feeling this emotion. And one thing that we've been talking a lot about in these classes is like, this emotion doesn't go away. It's there because it has something to tell us from within us. And the more we might try to stuff it down or find ways to disembody ourselves to avoid, it only persists because it's got something to say. And the more we can listen when it's just tapping lightly, like, hey, I'm getting angry, before it starts raising its voice and feeling more intense, the more we can catch it at a point where we might not feel so reactive, where we can have a little more space. As you might remember that quote that I often love to quote by Viktor Frankl. Before I say the quote, I want to give a little bit about who he is. So Viktor Frankl was a psychiatrist and neurologist, and he survived 5 different concentration camps. And so I can't even imagine the kind of trauma that he experienced in his life, losing different family members as well through that process. And this is what he said: between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is your freedom to choose your response. And in your response lies your growth and your freedom. And so, how do we give ourselves that space in a way that is nurturing, where we don't abandon ourselves when we're feeling not so great? Where we're there for ourselves and really learn how to allow our minds to be one of our greatest allies. And so with that, we're going to be ending our physical yoga practice with, yet again, a guided mindfulness meditation and how we might hold loving space, compassion for when those difficult emotions might arise. You might remember the practice called RAIN. And so let's begin by working with the body and just sensing what is here right now. As you're finding stillness, maybe close the eyes. And I invite you to start to cultivate a caring attentiveness to whatever you're feeling in your physical body right now. You might notice areas that you feel really stable or strong or open. You might also notice those areas where you don't feel so strong. Maybe you feel tired or tense. Letting go of any need to label them as good or bad, just it's what is. Notice if you can feel your breath without controlling the breath. And if you can, sense its qualities. When our energy shifts, like we feel stressed or calm, the breath is different. So, what is your breath informing you of how you feel energetically? And notice how you're feeling in your mind and heart. What's present mentally and emotionally for you? Feel the support physically under your body and root down into that as you allow a deeper breath in through the nose. And feel free to sigh it out, open the mouth, empty it. Inhaling a little deeper. Feel the breath as it moves through your body. Exhaling through the mouth again. Once more. Now, as you're sitting here, what is something you can offer gratitude for? In what way are you experiencing some sort of well-being? And through that lens, begin to choose your focus for this practice. What do you want to cultivate? And to whom might you like to extend the benefits of this practice to? A way of sending them loving kindness. You might choose somebody to dedicate your efforts to. And let's use our voice to send out our dedications and intentions, as well as to hold a resonant space for each other as we share practice. Chanting Om 3 times. Inhale a little deeper. Going to invite you into a breathing technique called Bhastrika Pranayama, or bellows breath. It's a way to cleanse the lungs, energize us physically, and bring calmness of mind or clarity of mind. It's done by closing your lips and just breathing through the nose. Full deep inhale, filling up all of your torso, so you're using your diaphragm, and full exhalation through the nose, so equal depth in and out through the nose at a rather brisk pace that you can sustain for 1 minute. So practice for a moment. You might place a hand on your chest, a hand on your belly to invite the breath in all parts, inhaling and exhaling. So you can have your hands here, or if you want to make it even feel more energizing, warming up your shoulders, you can bend your elbows apart like this. Make fists out of your hands. And as you breathe in, raise the arms up and spread your fingers. As you breathe out, bend your elbows towards your ribs and fist the hands. So it looks kind of like this. So choose how you'll have your arms, and let's get ready to practice bellows breath for 1 minute. Sitting tall, relax, ready? Begin. 20 more seconds. And relax, breathing naturally. Observe how you feel. Now I invite you into Ujjayi Pranayama, a breathing technique that invites calm and focus while balancing your energy. It's called Ujjayi Pranayama, or victorious breath. So softly narrowing the back of your throat, closing your lips, lengthen your in-breath as slowly as your out-breath, creating a gentle whispering sound like peaceful ocean waves. Listen to a few cycles as you're sitting here and really try to stretch the breath to the top without forcefulness, and stretch the breath to the bottom. I'm going to actually put the microphone to my nostrils and see if you can actually hear me creating this sound. So you want to be able to hear the sound, but very gentle. And we're going to use that sound to pace our movements in the vinyasa flow part of our practice. And that sound serves as a way to meditate. You're using the sound as something to focus on in the present moment. So let's make our way to the top of our mats. And if you know that you'd like to press your hands on blocks in front of you when we come into half forward fold, you can go ahead and set your blocks up in front of your feet at the height that you need. And
Michelle, your voice is low.
Can you hear me now?
I hear, but low. It's low.
Okay, let me pause. So stepping your feet apart, hips distance or wider, parallel to each other. Let's bring the hands behind our backs. We can open up the fronts of the shoulders here. So if it's either clasped like this or holding a strap between your hands like this, where you can space the hands wider apart, the latter gives you more range of motion. If you feel really tight in the front of your shoulders, you might need that. So breathing in, draw your shoulders back, look up, and then bend your knees a lot as you breathe out to fold over your legs. Tilt your weight as far forward as you can balance and completely drop your skull. Let your head hang free. Spend a few breaths, maybe shaking your head no, helping to relax your neck, your jaw. And as you're stretching the arms further away from your lower back, lift your shoulder bones away from your neck. You can even bend the elbows slightly to do that. And then nod your head yes a few times. You might even softly sway your spine, maybe straightening one leg as you lean your torso towards it for a deeper stretch in the hamstrings. And then the other side too. You might even switch the interlacing of the thumb and the index fingers that are on top and see if that might feel different in the shoulders. Tune into a couple more deep breaths in Uttanasana, standing forward fold. Now press your fingertips either on your blocks or the ground in front of you. And as you engage the belly, inhale, lengthen your spine forward, actively stretch the top of your head towards the front wall, but draw the shoulders down your back, firm in the belly. Then exhale, bow over your legs. Let's try that again. Press firmly with your fingertips. And as you breathe in to stretch forward, imagine pressing your heart through the gates of your arms. This is half forward fold. Ardha Uttanasana, exhale, fold. Take the blocks with you and place your hands outside your heels. Step the left knee behind you on the ground into a kneeling lunge. Now, with your feet hips width apart, tuck your back toes, and let's go in and out of a lunge here to warm up the hips. So as you breathe in, look up, drop the shoulders back. And as you breathe out, lift your left knee and begin to straighten your legs to what's comfortable, drawing the right outer hip back and lengthening your spine as you bow over your front leg. So you want to bow as if you have a flat back here. Inhale, lower the left knee, and gaze up again, kneeling lunge. Exhale, lift the left knee, straighten the legs and bow, pyramid pose. Let's keep going for 3 more cycles of breath. Inhale, lunge. Exhale, pyramid. Inhale, lunge. Exhale, pyramid. Inhale, lunge. And exhale, pyramid. So lower to a kneeling lunge. Let's set the blocks aside and step into plank pose, top of a push-up. We're gonna pause there for a few breaths. So decide if you'll either keep your legs straight, pressing the inner heels actively back, or lower your knees on the floor right under your hips. Make sure that your shoulders are stacked right on top of your wrists. Fingers are spread. You're lifting through the sides of your abdomen, lengthening your chest and the top of your head forward as you draw the shoulder blades down your back. Allow another deep breath where you're stretching up and down the spine. Exhale, lower your knees. Then lower your chest, firm in the belly as you hug elbows towards ribs. Lower your throat. Inhale, slide forward onto your belly into cobra. Just gently draw the shoulders back as you lift the chest. Exhale, tuck your toes. Lift your hips back, downward facing dog. Spend a few breaths here if you need to move your body, like bending one knee, pressing the opposite heel down. Maybe swiveling the hips side to side as you do that. Maybe shaking the head a little more. Draw your shoulder blades back. Create space in your neck. And then bend your knees. Look past your fingertips. Empty the breath. Walk or float to the top of your mat. Press down through your feet, and as you breathe in, sweep your arms forward to rise all the way up. Standing in a gentle back bend, draw the shoulders back. Exhale, join your palms from your crown to your heart center. Let's move to the second side. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead again, coiling your chest up. Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hinge forward from your hips. Press your fingertips either on your blocks or the ground in front of your feet. Lengthen forward. Now bring the blocks outside your heels and exhale, step your right knee back to a kneeling lunge. Keep your right toes tucked. Inhale here, gazing up. Draw the shoulders back. Exhale, lift the right knee and begin to draw your left hip back towards straightening your legs as you bow like you have a flat back. Inhale, lower the right knee. Kneeling lunge. Let's keep going. Exhale, pyramid pose. 3 more to the pace of your breath. Inhale, lunge. Exhale, pyramid. Inhale, lunge. Exhale, pyramid. Inhale, lunge. Exhale, pyramid. Come back to your kneeling lunge and set the blocks aside. Step into your version of plank pose. Pause for a few breaths, lift the sides of your belly, elongate your spine. So draw the shoulder blades down the back and spin your outer upper arms slightly towards the back wall. This time, as you exhale, glide forward, graze your elbows by your ribs, passing through Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale to cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale into downward facing dog. I invite you to cultivate stillness as you steady your gaze. 3 deep breaths. From here, stay in downward dog and step your feet together to touch. Inhale, raise your right leg back. Exhale, bend your right knee and turn your right thigh open at the hip. Inhale, draw your left hip back. Now, as you exhale, cross your right knee towards touching your left elbow, coming forward to plank with a twist at your waistline. Inhale, right leg back. This time, exhale, tap the right knee outside your right upper arm, stack your shoulders over your wrists and plank. Inhale, right leg back. This time, rounding your back, exhale, bend your right knee towards your nose and softly step the foot right between your hands for warrior two. Spin the left heel down, inhale, cartwheel the arms and rise up. Right away with arms wide open, steady your gaze just past your right hand. Let's tune into another 4 deep breaths. From your right shoulder, flip your right palm to face up. Keep your right knee bent. Inhale, lift your spine and side bend towards your rear wall. Peaceful warrior. Now as you exhale, cartwheel your hands into plank pose and continue to lower into your choice of vinyasa. When you arrive in downward facing dog, bring your feet together to touch and pause for a couple slow breaths, recalibrating. Notice what you're feeling physically here. On your next inhale, raise your left leg back. As you exhale, bend your left knee and rotate the thigh open at your hip. Inhale, draw your right hip back. As you exhale, cross your left knee towards touching your right elbow as you stack your shoulders right on top of your wrists. Inhale, left leg back. Exhale, tap left knee to left outer upper arm, shoulders over wrists. Inhale, left leg back. Exhale, bend the knee towards your nose, contract your abdomen to lightly step the foot between your hands, spin the right heel down. Inhale to warrior two. Then right away, steady your gaze just past your left fingertips and tune in to 4 deep breaths. Keep your left knee bent. Rotate your left palm to face up. Inhale, peaceful warrior. Side bend towards your rear wall. Exhale, cartwheel your hands and continue down into your vinyasa. Follow your breath. Downward facing dog. Tune into a couple of breaths here as you pause in stillness, cultivating present moment awareness. Please set your knees on the ground and let's play with a balancing posture in a version of Vashisthasana or side plank. So start with spreading your fingers really wide and flat and stacking your shoulders on top of your wrists. Now as you lift the sides of your belly, draw the shoulder blades back. Straighten your right leg behind you and tuck the toes. How's your breathing? Spin your right heel flat on the ground behind your left toes and root the outer edge of your right foot firmly into the earth. Now engage the left side of your torso as you raise the right arm up, pressing the ground away actively with the left hand. Here's one version of the pose. We're going to be here for a few breaths. Another version is to keep the left knee down and raise the right foot flexed, sort of like half moon pose. Another version is to stack your 2 feet flexed and have both legs straight. Whatever you're practicing, let's tune into another 4 breaths. Draw the shoulder blades down the back, seal in the bottom of your front ribs, and steady your gaze. Sweep your right arm overhead and come back to your hands and knees. Inhale into cow pose, coiling your chest up. Exhale into cat pose, contracting your belly and rounding your back. And then come back to a neutral spine. Spread the fingers, stack your shoulders over your wrists. Steady your breath. Straighten your left leg and tuck the toes. Spin your left heel flat on the earth, pressing the outer edge of the foot down. Begin to press the floor away with your right hand as you raise the left arm. Here's one version of side plank. Try to go into the same version you practiced on the first side. Maybe you lift the left foot flexed. Maybe you stack both feet flexed so both legs are straight. Draw your shoulder blades down the back as you stack the shoulders and wrists and lift the right side of your waist. 4 more breaths. Sweep your left arm overhead and come back to hands and knees. And this time, let's spin out the fingertips, whatever degree to stretch your inner wrists and forearms. Maybe you point your fingertips at your knees, maybe not. Either hold still, or if you want to go further and your fingertips are pointing at your knees, you can bend your elbows towards you, or you can move the spine in a few rounds of cat-cow pose, Betalasana, where you inhale to lift your chest forward and roll the shoulders back. You exhale to lift the navel in, dropping your head to dome your back. Tune into about 4 more deep breaths, whether you're moving or holding still. And then from here, lean back onto your legs for a moment, and we're gonna bring the stretch into our outer wrists by first making fists with your hands and then connecting your fists, giving yourself a fist bump. Keep that shape and place the backs of your fists on the ground about a foot in front of your knees. And start to gently lean forward slowly until you find just the right amount of weight to place into that outer wrist for a stretch. Flaring your bent elbows apart off the ground, relax your neck and jaw. You might gently move the head side to side. Maybe flutter your lips to consciously relax the jaw. And then release the arms and gently roll out the shoulders or shake out your arms. Now entering the yin portion of our practice, I'll invite you into another breathing technique. So please find a comfortable seat where you can be tall and feel spacious in your spine and torso. This breathing technique helps to calm the nervous system, ground in our physical bodies, as well as really pay attention to how much of the breath capacity you are using. So it's called 3-part breathing, Durga Pranayama. You might begin by imagining that your torso, which is from your pelvic floor to the top of your neck, all the way around, is a jar, and you can divide that jar into 3 cross sections. The first section is from your pelvic floor to your belly button, all the way around. The second section encompasses most of your rib cage, and the third section is your chest, all the way up to your neck, upper back, shoulders. So we're going to inhale into the lowest part and pause. Then we'll inhale another third of the breath into the middle and pause. Then we'll inhale to the very top and we'll hold the breath. Then we'll exhale everything slowly through the nose and hold the breath. That's 1 cycle. Let's practice 3 cycles together and then continue 3 cycles on your own. So you might find it helpful to place a hand at the top section, like at your sternum, and a hand at the bottom section, like below your belly button. And maybe close the eyes. Sitting tall and relaxed, prepare to begin by emptying this breath. Into the lowest section, inhale 1/3. Pause. Into the middle, inhale 1/3. Pause. Into the top, inhale 1/3. Hold your breath, relax. Through your nose, really slowly exhale. Hold the breath out. Second cycle, inhale the first third. Pause. Inhale the second. Pause. Inhale the third. Hold the breath in. Exhale, release slowly. Hold the breath out. Third cycle. Inhale the first. Pause. Inhale the second. Pause. Inhale the top. Hold it in. Exhale slowly. Hold it out. On your own, continue 3 more cycles. When you finish taking your time at your pace, release control of your breath and notice how you feel. Now you could choose to continue breathing naturally or come back to Ujjayi breath, that ocean sound at the back of the throat with lips closed. Let's make our way down onto our backs. Bring with you and set off to the side a couple of your blocks, as well as a strap. As you're lying down on your back, bend your knees and set your feet on the ground as wide apart as your hips distance. Parallel your feet. And then take one of your blocks, start with the lowest height, place it wide across your sacrum, so underneath the flat part of your lower back. Make sure it feels comfortable. It's not digging up towards your rib cage, nor unstable, too low under the glutes. And then from here, bend your right knee into your chest. Take hold of your right thigh or shin. And to whatever degree that your left hip flexor feels willing without strain, flex your left foot and slide your left heel forward on the floor to as straight as you comfortably can. Now, prevent turning out the left leg. So point your left knee and toe straight up towards the ceiling rather than towards the left wall. Press the instep of your left foot forward while flexing your left foot. Now feel that the backs of your shoulders are grounding, you're lengthening the back of your neck, allowing a few more deep breaths as you hug your right leg even closer towards the right outer side of your rib cage, gently pressing into the right lower side of your belly. Now you could circle your right foot at the ankle a few times in both directions while you're here. About 4 more slow breaths in this pose. And then step your right foot on the floor. Bend your left knee into your chest. Take hold of your left thigh or shin. Flexing your right foot, begin to slide your right heel forward just to the degree you can straighten the right leg and still feel comfortable. Remember, not turning out the right leg, but keep the right knee and toes pointing straight up. As you flex your right foot, press the instep of that foot forward. And then breath by breath, hug your left leg even closer to the outer side of your left ribs, gently pressing into the left side of your lower belly. As you ground both shoulders and lengthen your neck, you might circle your left foot at the ankle in both directions. About 3 more breaths here. Then set your left foot on the ground, set your right foot on the ground. And whether you choose to keep it 1 block under your sacrum or 2 blocks, let's come into restorative bridge pose. Lifting the pelvis higher than your heart and encouraging your chest to broaden while tilting your chin slightly back to open your throat. So another way to encourage your chest to broaden here is to bring your arms to the ground, straight ahead, really close to your sides. And from your shoulder sockets, spin your palms to face up. So the backs of the hands are on the floor. Some of you might be using only 1 block, and you might tilt that block either to the 2nd level height or the 3rd level height, depending on what's available here for you, in which you might have more space to bring your elbows in even closer together underneath your rib cage and possibly let the hands touch or interlace the fingers, which opens up the chest even more. So once again, keep your feet hips width apart, parallel to each other. Keep your thighs parallel to each other. And as you're resting your pelvis completely down on the support, imagine your tailbone lengthening forward towards the space between your knees. Continue to tilt your chin back, open the throat. We're going to be here for just another 2 minutes more. And sense what sensations you're experiencing here the most, or what might be shifting energetically. Just anything that you notice within you. Now, if you have two blocks under your body, start by just removing one so you have a gradual descent of the pelvis. Otherwise, if you tilted the block to a higher level, you might just go to the next level down first and pause. And then another level down, eventually removing all of the blocks you might have under your body. When you do remove them all, bend your knees into your chest and rock a little side to side to help massage your lower back into the ground. You could also choose to rotate your thighs together and apart. Step your left foot on the ground and take your strap. Let's step the ball of your right foot into the loop or the center of the strap. Extend your right leg up towards the sky as you hold the strap with two hands. Now, if your right hamstring feels really resistant, keep your left knee as bent as you need to not strain it. But try to keep your right leg straight while flexing your right quadricep, the front muscle of the thigh, by flexing the right foot as it kicks into the strap. Holding the strap with two hands. Now, some of you might feel fine in your hamstring to straighten the left leg too. If so, flex the left foot as well and keep your feet parallel to each other so you're not turning out the legs. Breath by breath, begin to bend the elbows apart and bring your right leg closer to you. And just about half a minute longer here. Remove the strap and step your right foot on the ground. Bend your left knee into your chest and step the ball of your left foot into the strap. As you flex your left foot, also kick it into the strap while straightening your left leg to your capacity. Hold the strap with both hands, giving yourself enough slack so the shoulders can stay grounded. And if it's available for your left hamstring here, you can straighten the right leg. Otherwise, keep the right knee bent. Keep your legs parallel to each other as you start to bend the elbows apart. Bring your left leg closer slowly, about a minute and a half long here. Gently release the strap from your left foot. And now set your feet on the ground so they are wider apart than your hips distance. Bend your knees as wide apart as your feet are, and drop both knees to your right side. So here the feet are not touching each other. It's an open twist. Point your left knee down the midline of your mat and just pause. Notice any sensations in your body, especially around the left side of your pelvis. If you're not feeling much here, then you can add on by crossing your right ankle just above your left knee onto your left thigh. You could also vary it by reaching your arms overhead and holding opposite bent elbows. Maybe you're here not too long, maybe just another 40 seconds. Start to unravel from this twist, stepping your feet on the ground, wider apart than hips distance again. Separate your knees as wide apart as your feet. Relax the arms and then drop your knees both to your left side. Point your right knee down the center line of your mat. Pause here, just observe what you're feeling in your body. Notice what you're sensing around the right side of your pelvis. Choose to either stay here if there's plenty happening. Otherwise, you can cross the left ankle just above your right knee. You could also, if you held elbows overhead, switch and hold the opposite elbow overhead. Yeah, we'll be here for about another 40 seconds. Gently unravel from your twist. Slide your legs forward on the ground to stretch. And maybe raise the arms overhead. Get really long up and down your body. And let's, with your right hand, take hold of your left wrist. Cross your left ankle on top of your right ankle. And slide your feet and your hands towards the right edge of your mat. So you're creating a crescent moon shape out of your body to lengthen the left side of your torso. Try to keep both shoulders and backs of the hips on the ground here so it doesn't become a twist. It's just a lateral extension of the spine. Invite a deep breath into the left wall of your rib cage. And then come back to center. Switch, hold your right wrist with your left hand. Cross your right ankle over your left ankle. And then slide your feet and your hands towards the left edge of your mat, lengthening the right side of your body. Breathe a little deeper into the right wall of your rib cage. One more deep breath. Now draw your bent knees together into your chest and maybe lift the head and shoulders as you squeeze in tightly with a deep inhalation. Hold the breath in, maybe sip in a little more, squeeze in a little tighter. Opening the mouth to exhale, splay your arms and your legs apart on the ground. Setting up to rest for a few minutes of corpse pose, Shavasana. Feel free to use any of your props here, like a blanket over your pelvis for grounding support, or a strap over your eyes as you close the eyes to help tune inward. Start to come back to your physical body and notice how it feels right now. Keeping your eyes closed, moving gently and slowly. Start to wake up your body with easy movements, simple stretches. Gradually turn over onto your right side and rest your head for a few moments, observing your breathing and noticing how your energy feels right now. Take your time rising up. Please find a comfortable way to sit for our 10 minutes of guided mindfulness meditation in holding loving space for a difficult emotion. The practice is summed up in an acronym, RAIN, R-A-I-N. So make sure that you're sitting in a way that you can breathe easily. Spine is tall, heart space is open, feel grounded and relaxed. I often place my palms stacked face up on the center of my lap like this and let the thumb tips touch. It's a gesture that cultivates evenness of mind or inner balance. Do what works for you. You might close your eyes as well. I invite you to begin by just allowing the breath to freely flow as you rest your attention on it, wherever you can sense it the most in your body. And any time during the meditation that your mind might wander or you feel distracted, it's okay. Remember, it happens. Just gently come back to the feeling of your breath as a way to come back to the present. If any time you feel overwhelmed emotionally during the meditation, you can also come back to your breath to feel safe in your body. So I invite you to start by choosing a difficult emotion to practice with, something that you recently or are currently experiencing. We named some examples earlier, like annoyance or disappointment or anger, sadness, loneliness, embarrassment. I invite you to choose an emotion that you do not feel too intensely. Like from a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being very intense, 0 being nothing. Maybe you feel it at a level 5 or 6, since this meditation is not very long. And now, once you've chosen what difficult emotion to work with, let's begin the practice of RAIN, starting with the letter R for recognize. I invite you to recognize the situation in which this difficult emotion came up for you. You might imagine you're watching a movie of your life and then press pause in the scene in which you started to feel this emotion. And then I invite you to step into that scene now and observe it. Where are you? Who's there? What do you hear? Using all your senses to experience it in the present. Now, the second step of RAIN is the letter A for allow. Allowing that difficult emotion to fully express itself. Remember, it's temporary and it's something from inside of us that needs attention. So I invite you to embody the emotion. You might make the facial expression it gives. You might sense it in the way you're breathing or posturing your body. Now, the third step in RAIN is the letter I for investigate. Part of that means investigate how you feel this emotion in your body physically. For example, when I feel anger, sometimes it feels like my chest is heavy or I feel hot in my head. Now, you don't need to analyze or describe how it feels, just be in the feeling of it. Part of investigate also means asking this difficult emotion what it wants you to know. What does this vulnerable part of you need? Like, for example, if I might feel lonely and sad at the same time, sometimes it's a message from within saying that I believe that I need to feel connection. I need to feel belonging. And now, another part of investigate is also to ask yourself, what am I believing that is or isn't true? Sometimes this difficult emotion is revealing that we have a belief that's affecting us and causing suffering. For example, going back to that loneliness and sadness, sometimes there might be this belief that I'm not good enough or I'm not accepted. And that isn't necessarily true. And now the fourth step in RAIN is the letter N for nurture. And this means finding a meaningful way to offer yourself a gesture of loving kindness. For example, you might say mentally to yourself, I love you and I care about this difficult feeling. Or I love you and I'm sorry. You might place a hand at your heart, which is a way to help soothe the nervous system. Or give yourself a hug if that feels genuine. Now, if you find it difficult to give yourself loving kindness, you can also imagine someone else that you know cares about you, extending loving kindness to you. Could be an animal, like a pet. Could be another human, whether they're alive or no longer living. It could be a spiritual figure. And then another way to nurture yourself is to imagine a warm, loving light surrounding you. And now, a really important part of this rain meditation is the end, where you remember that you are not anger or sadness or whatever the difficult emotion is, but you are much larger than that. Sort of what Rumi, the poet, said, something like, you are not just a wave in the ocean, you are the entire ocean. So remembering that you have the capacity to hold loving space for yourself with whatever emotion comes and goes. Let's sit in that for one last minute. Notice now how you are feeling mentally and emotionally. I invite you to acknowledge something that you can offer gratitude for. Remind yourself of what you chose to focus on today and which you might continue to focus on the rest of today. Your intention. And then remember to whom you dedicated today's practice. Let's close together. Once again, chanting Om 3 times. And as you're chanting, feel the resonance that you are both giving and receiving. Deep breath in. Bowing in, honoring the light within. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.